If I might just address a couple of the points you've raised, just for your clarification, the reason why it wasn't, and it is now, actually proposed in the draft annual plan, but the reason we didn't put it in initially is because the bullet point stories we were highlighting were things that were new or different. So a water treatment plant stops being built and actually starts working, it's a new story. The toilets for Mangakino and Whakaaro, that's new. So we were focusing on what's different from the LGP. In fact, we always have funding under the Democracy and Planning group of activities for a whole range of regional collaboration activities. And so we didn't necessarily think to pull that out as a specific item. However, in the section of paper you've got with the red page on the front, the Statement of Compliance, if you turn to the second page in from the back, you see Democracy and Planning, which is the group of activities. So the red set labelled Statement of Compliance on the front, and I will get to explaining to you what that's about. We have proposed, and you'll see it in red there, an additional bullet point around activities, continue to explore options for stronger regional collaboration, particularly in light of amendments to the Local Government Act. So that specifically refers to that $70,000 proposal. And let's face it, we also do a bunch of collaboration with Bay of Plenty. So this is not to make any specific, it doesn't lock us in any particular future direction, but it enables Council to keep learning about what's the implications of all of its collaboration options.
Well, I've got other people's hands up and things, so I think we're going to have plenty of time. We'll take some next with that. Councillor Williams, my apologies.
Yes, Your Worship. Yeah, I guess, I mean, under legislation, we are required to undertake this collaboration, but I would say that this would be with regards to the joint management agreements on the Waikato River. Just from the meetings we've had to date, I can see that they are going to take a lot of time, and probably a lot of council officer time, and also potentially consultant time, not only with all the various iwi in our region, but also with other entities along the river. So I would suggest that would be an ideal opportunity for this council to start pushing back through Lawrence Yule and the local government association to say this has been imposed on us under central government. And I would dare to say that it could be in excess of 100,000 in the next year that we may spend just on that one thing, the JMAs with regards to the Waikato River.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is allow Deputy Officer Rob to speak, because this issue has nothing to do with the Waikato River Authority agreements or deals whatsoever. It's completely separate, where the mayoral forum, which has no mandate, it's only a forum where they meet and talk to each other, doesn't have a bank account, doesn't have a mandate whatsoever. It's where mayors can get in a room and talk openly, freely and honestly with each other. That's what they've come up with. And I would risk saying as a knee-jerk reaction to local government reform. But however, a lot of this is embargoed till after the 25th, so I have to be very, very careful with what I'm saying. And I'll hand it over to you, Mr. Williams, to try and extrapolate the best you can.
Yep. It's a lot of work that the mayoral forum has been undertaking for probably the last 12 to 18 months in terms of trying to educate itself as a forum so that it can take information back to representative councils about the issues that are being discussed by central government and the wider community. The headline obviously being amalgamation. The four work streams that the mayoral forum set up, they were in democracy and planning, the three waters, the roading, which is being driven by the New Zealand Transport Agency, and one of that which escapes me at the moment. No, not regulatory. Roading, waters, democracy and planning, economic development. And so in those four areas, the mayoral forum have wanted to educate themselves in terms of what potentially can be achieved by combining forces across the Waikato. So there's been a lot of talk centrally in central government about spatial planning because of the Auckland plan, and should every other region have a spatial plan that is similar to the Auckland plan. The problem with that being a district plan type of document, it comes with a huge cost to local government across New Zealand if we start getting into rewriting all of our district plans in one document. Typically to get a district plan through an operational takes about 7 years, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gareth, it can be about $5 million by the time you've gone from A to Z of getting one of those documents operational. So to try and attempt that on a regional basis, yes, it might achieve certain things and it might achieve certain outcomes that central government want in terms of simplicity across a region, but the mayoral forum wants to be educated in terms of what is the benefit for the bucks that we spend, hence the creation of the 4 work streams. Now, there was a media release that was put out from the mayoral forum following the meeting that they had in Thames on the 18th of February. Basically what that, am I okay to read that media statement out, because I think it gives some clarity as to what's happening. So the media release is entitled Further Steps Towards Major Savings for Regional Ratepayers. A work programme designed to generate multi-million-dollar savings from regional ratepayers is being forwarded by the Waikato Mayoral Forum to the region's local and regional councils for consideration. The forum, made up of city and district mayors and the chair of the regional council, met in Thames today. It received reports on work streams designed to improve cooperation on planning and government's economic development, roading, water and waste services. A detailed briefing for all of the other regions' councillors is due to be held on the 25th of March to spell out the details of what's proposed. The opportunities and the suggested funding arrangements for addressing the work streams will also be included. Further information will be provided to stakeholders and the media immediately following the briefing. So what that's basically saying is that a lot of the detail is actually embargoed at the moment. It will be released to the region's councillors on Monday, because what the mayoral forum was concerned about was every council were going through their annual plan at different times. They didn't want one council to get ahead of the other councils in terms of that information and tried to pull everything together into one date. So in the meantime, individual councils are being advised of the provisional contributions sought from them by way of staff time or funding in advance of the work streams. So a quote from Hugh Verco: working together, the mayoral forum asked the CEOs of various councils to come up with an integrated package of work. This is designed to help councils collectively come up with the options for saving ratepayers money and for creating other efficiencies in the way that councils work on behalf of their communities. There's nothing more in the press release that adds to that, but basically that gives you a flavour as to why the 1.3 million is being put forward to the meeting on Monday. The mayoral forum has been very clear that it's an important issue for consultation with the community, because the community ultimately will decide where it wants to go, but primarily those work streams are about informing ourselves what the issues are and what the potential is, not actually trying to suggest a particular outcome.
Well, for me, I'll be quite honest with you, and I thought about it long and hard, and got a big pile of paper and a whole lot of hui's and sausage rolls, a good little bunch of work, and I stand on record by saying I'd rather go and spend $130,000 on Parcel on Poihipi Road. Councillor.
I find it quite, I did read that press release, but I had no idea that we as a council, until you've just informed us, that we as a council would have some obligation to financially contribute. So, no, I mean, it wasn't flagged to us in the February meeting. And I find it quite, I mean, when I read it, I would suggest that actually there's some words around this that go into the annual plan, because when I read here, stronger regional collaboration, I mean, as far as I was concerned, that was things that we were already doing, which are taking a lot of time and resources, but I had no idea whatsoever that we were going to be called upon for funding, because I was suspecting it was the mayor's time and our CEO's time, so I just wonder why we haven't had this flag to us on ours.
That's why I brought it up today, because it hasn't been at any of our workshops. It's a tiger by the tail. We either step away from it or we join it. I believe if you join it, it's an exercise in folly. Only my opinion, but that's what I brought it on the table here today. Use it, put it in. If you want to leave it in, one of my big things that I want is Helena noted off. It's now starting to pop up in some of these amendments, but I want it in neon lights, just like those toilets.
Yeah.
If you're going to leave it in there. Yeah, Councillor Downer, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's why my desk looks so messy, so I had to go through the papers. We actually got a memo just on this, and it was confidential, and it actually was quite in-depth about it, and our CEO's actually said a lot about it, and in that was actually got all the costings of what it was going to cost us, and we got this in February. And I've kind of highlighted a few things, and you know my feeling, Leah, about unitary and stuff like that. But I think, especially after attending the RMA workshop up in Rotorua, and the minister there saying that they, underneath the RMA, they're not making it mandate, but to be more inclusive with regional plans and district plans. And with the elections coming up, I think it would be a good thing to go along with this. I think there is this, in this memo, it does say that it's not a formal decision-making body, but advocating any particular and not advocating any particular regional governance changes. But what the progress that they are doing is, you know, as we said, the planning and governance, economic development, water and wastewater services and roading. I think that is important because we don't know who's getting elected in all the different councils in the regions, and those mayors, I believe, that will get a lot out of this by spending I think in the first term it's 25, then it's 70 and then 21 over 3 years. So I believe that we probably should do it this time with the way central government and regional government are acting. It's not a formal agreement, but it's an agreement that I think will get benefit the new mayors and councillors in the future. My 2 cents.
Anybody else? Do you want to just take the picture again? No? Okay.
So it's the two pieces. The first of all is the 100k. Our share of the 1.3 million is the size of our province. Or is our district? Oh yeah.
Pro rata.
Yeah.
So it's all just going to go to consultants. And every piece of paper will have a disclaimer on the back page, I'm sure of that.
At the mayoral forum, they've tried to express to the chief executives that they want to minimise any money going to consultants. So whilst the budgets are there, they've instructed the chief executives to do as much as they can with in-house staff, but acknowledging that many of the organisations, the local authorities, are stretched already as it is, so we may have to call on consultants.
So Mr Williams, considering we're budgeting $1.3 million, what money is not going to be going to consultants, do you perceive?
Yeah, that's a finger in the air sort of thing, but I would, from what I'm gauging from chief executives around the places, possibly half might be saved by using internal resource.
Councillor Hickman.
Yeah, I think I feel a little bit more confident probably after the meeting on the 25th, and I know that's too late for what we're doing today. But just reading these red lines, to me, it can't mean a great deal to the general public, whereas when we list the toilets, we list the fact that there's 2 toilets and it's $7,000 or $35,000 each. So there's no dollars put towards this particular sentence. So people wouldn't probably even comment on it. I don't perhaps understand it too well.
That's one of my 2 points.
So I think that line needs to be more detailed and have the amount of funding that the council is proposing.
And for the purpose thereof.
And for the purpose, yeah.
Again, sorry, I just need to qualify that at the moment those figures are actually embargoed by the mayoral forum until the 25th. So there will be an information package released on the 25th that we can then make part of our consultation package. So that's fine. It works for our annual plan because we have the information in time for consultation. Certain other local authorities that timing didn't work, and that created its own problem.
How can you embargo something by a group of people that have no mandate?
So we're going to approve this draft with a proposal of an amendment after the 25th. Is that what we're doing?
What we'll do is we'll build in the information and release the consultation stuff with all of the right information because we're due to go out on the same day, so it doesn't affect it. So we can have all of that information in the document.
So Mr Williams, how can a group of people that have no mandate, no formalisation, except we just agreed to meet and discuss things around the table, embargo cover.
Through the chair, 2 or 3 points I'd like to make. One, this is a draft annual plan that is going out for consultation. There'll be submissions on any number of items. This is just $70,000 out of millions and millions of dollars. It's a plan that we will make these aspects apparent, but as I say, it is a draft plan for consultation. During that consultation period, we will also consider any other changes that occur, e.g. post the 25th of July. But basically, this council continues to be either a team player or not a team player in respect of the region from which it is part of.
Well, I have 2 responses to that. Firstly, this council had a mandate that we would be team players with the Bay of Plenty. And secondly to that, if on all these millions of dollars, 70,000 doesn't mean so much, why have we agonised so much over these toilets and put it in neon lights in our annual plan?
We have shown it separately because it is different to what the original long-term plan was. As Helen commented earlier, we had a budget within the long-term plan as far as regional collaboration, and as such that budget has not changed. It is just being reallocated in a different direction, but it is still regional collaboration. As far as the toilets are concerned, they were not in the original long-term plan. We, in producing a draft annual plan, which is year 2 of the long-term plan, have to identify where things are different between what we said we were going to do and what we are doing.
Thank you, Mr. Hand, but I'm going to remind my council they are here to govern. If they wish it to be in, so be it. If they wish it to be out, so be it, because that's government. All the way it's listed. Councillor Downer was making a new councillor.
Yeah, I'll just, the investment suggested in the work streams proposed is estimated of saving millions of dollars through the joint ventures. I mean, if that can be achieved, then it's a well worth investment.
Councillor Kepper?
Yeah, as far as the red line, the amendment goes, I support the explore the options. But beyond that, at this stage, I'm non-committal to supporting, for example, is this the forerunner to a regional unitary authority? And those questions are wider than just us at local body. The third thing is, if not all of the councils, TLAs subscribe, as we said, to be part of the team regionally, where does that place this organisation?
Within the mayoral forum there has been some discussion around that, and they will need to rethink it if there are councils that don't consent. At this point in time, because they couldn't consult.
If he turns up on Monday, next Monday, it should be an interesting exercise if he turns up. Councillor Kirk.
Can I suggest, as a way forward, like Councillor Johnson just said, not actually deliberating this today, it's a draft annual plan going up for submission. We're going to meetings next week to get all the information. Can we not just leave it in the draft and then look at this seriously in deliberations after we're all much more well educated and knowledgeable following the meeting on Monday?
That's social public,
Yes, which we'll be able to talk to them about during the consultation process when it comes up, because we will have the information after next Monday.
As long as, sorry, Mr. Chairman, as long as the messaging around the Waikato management workstream projects going forward, as long as that's in there.
Yeah, I do actually support being party to this forum, but I really do think that it should be itemised in the draft plan. The CEOs said we will be able to do it, but I'd like to see the proposed dollars that we're going to set aside itemised in the draft, and I'd be comfortable with that.
That's the point I said to start with. If you're going to point out we're going to spend $70,000 on 2 toilets, that's layman's language, isn't it? Well, why can't we say we're going to spend $70,000 on being part of a team and leading the district into this cost-saving venture day. That's not what this is, and this is the first time I've actually seen it.
And that's what the CEO is saying is going to be in the draft, and I'm comfortable with that.
But then people will know what the rules submit on it one way or another, won't they? Then you can make a decision as Council Kirk rightly points out. Councillor Lindsay.
Oh yes, I was just saying, I was going to make that point with due respect that, I guess the words will be prepared and then you'll be able to, council officers will be able to insert them after March 25th meeting. And so the ratepayers will actually have the full information available to them. And I'd be totally against not being part of this forum because as a small district we really need to be have a voice, and if we don't be part of this forum then we deprive our region of having a voice.
You realise Coromandel's already applied to be a single unitary authority?
I do, and I think they're very foolish and short-sighted.
And Hawke's Bay, Napier and Regional Council have applied down there. So can you see a pattern? And Northland. I just asked my fellow councillors, can you not see a pattern?
Well, I think it's a very foolish move, isn't it?
You wouldn't speak to the rooms
I was just confirming we can put the words in now because we don't start consultation until the 25th. So it's that document's embargoed until the 25th, and then the words are fine.
So that's what I want to see, is words in there that you have reallocated, as I understand it, from the office budget, whatever those amounts are, to work collaboratively as a team with the Waikato.
Good. Oh, it's good that we've clarified that, and we'll get those changes made for you, and they will obviously form part of what has been published after the...
I just read mine to protect this council from phone calls I've had. Do my words carefully after this goes out to the media next Monday. So